Hi, good morning, good day, and good evening. Depends on where you are. I am Lucille, the head of Edgecore marketing and also today's moderator. Before we start today's webinar, let me go through some housekeeping items. We'll keep all attendees mute during webinar. You can use the Q&A box if you have any question during the webinar. We'll answer the question at the end of the presentation. Yeah. So again, welcome to join today's webinar, Future Ready Networks, Smarter Migration for the Enterprise. Let me introduce our presenter today, Chitan Shah from Broadcom. Chitan is a network architect for Broadcom Enterprise Network business in Asia Pacific and Japan. Chitan has a proven track record in designing and implementing large-scale network infrastructure, leveraging the deep expertise in design, optimization, and security to deliver the innovative solution that enable the customer success. Our another presenter is Amir Amza from, from BE Network. Amir is the founder and the CEO of the BE Networks. Amir's career path spans from governments to technology, finance, and then back to technology, where his leadership of BE is forging a new path to intention-based orchestration solution with a unique approach to network architecture. Then our another presenter is Gaurav Sharma from Edgecore. Gaurav is a principal product manager and technical sales lead for AI and the data center cloud service provider market at Edgecore, driving the business development across Indian, APAC, and EMEA. Gaurav is specializing in AI infrastructure, SDN, NFV, and the cloud solution for global enterprise and service provider. So now let me give the time to Gaurav. Start today's presentation. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Lucent, for the quick introduction. So, thanks everyone for joining this webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So today's topic, we will talk about future-ready networks and how the migration can be smarter for the enterprise networks. Let me move towards the agenda part. Okay. So the agenda for this webinar, the transforming enterprise networking, we will start with the networking dilemma. What are the current challenges, okay, for the enterprise networks, and then how we can, Edgecore, Broadcom, and Beyond Edge can help you towards achieving the vision, moving towards automated enterprise network, and then we will have a quick recap about the deep dive of technical solutions, where I would talk about Edgecore network portfolio. Then my fellow colleagues like Chintan would talk about Broadcom Sonic. Then it will be followed by Amir, who will talk about BE Networks controller and orchestration part. And then it will be followed by summary and the Q&A session. So I would quickly talk about some of the market highlights and the enterprise network growth, which is going to happen in next 4 or 5 years. Okay, so the key drivers for this enterprise network growth in campus and the data centers, mostly because of the adoption of more IoT devices, and we are seeing that there has been some kind of a change with the workspace. We see there have been actually new offices which are being introduced, and the smart city initiatives and the remote workforce support. Those probably are putting some kind of modernization requirement for the campus network, and followed by, if we talk about the data center networks part, so the rise of the cloud services, we are seeing that enterprises are adapting hybrid approach on-prem or the cloud, depends on the workload type and what are security measures they need to adapt. And then edge computing has become very familiar. This is not a buzzword today. We have been seeing that because of the growth in the IoT, that means IoT, or I would say the campus networks, so edge computing has become very important, and the applications which are being run on the endpoints, they require particular latency, bandwidth, backhauling. So that's why there has been a lot of investment and capex is going on in the edge computing, and we see that enterprises are moving towards setting up small data centers at the edge locations, which is followed by 5G deployment. Wireless has been key, also play a key role. Definitely, this wireless, if we talk about like fiber versus the wireless network deployment, we would find most of the areas today which is not covered by the fiber. So wireless actually plays a very important role. That's why 5G deployment and penetration is moving ahead. And then there have been certain localization policies, okay, which are influencing the decision where the workloads is going to be. It's going to be actually putting on some kind of global service, or it's going to be actually uh, put on the local kind of regions. That is also influencing how the network, deployment or the adaptation is happening. As we see that actually this market is more than a $10 billion, and we also find this market is going to grow, and this would be, and we expect the estimated CAGR would be more than 12%. And we believe actually this is the right time for the enterprises to look towards the modernization part, so that they can actually go with the uh, latest application, and they can upgrade the network for upcoming innovations. In my next slide, I would talk about what are the key challenges which are being faced by the enterprises. Okay, so the first and foremost, that is tech innovation. We see that tech innovations are happening very rapidly. Okay, couple of decades before, tech innovations was generally like a 5 years or 10 years journey, but today every 2 years you would find that their innovations are taking uh, is happening in terms of the software, in terms of the applications, in terms of the chips, in terms of the network capacity, in terms of the networking gears. So everywhere innovations are keep on happening, and that also put tremendous pressure on the enterprises so that they can keep their network actually ready for the latest and actually greatest application, considering the network infrastructure. And now moving towards the what what other factors are influencing this kind of network growth. Then the second would be actually hybrid workloads, I would say. So enterprises are still trying to evaluating both kind of environment. It would be cloud native environment or it would be on-prem environment. So depends on the type of application and the requirement. Latency factor is also one of the parts. Security is one of the aspect, and then actually what workloads they want to keep on the on-prem so that they can actually able to serve the end user very well. So that is one of the important factor to actually take up the challenges. And the third, which would be security and complexity with the local regulations. Okay, so we see that actually different countries and the region having their own country specific policies, and they also have to take care about the security part with all the policies which is required to establish the network infrastructure. Okay, so that is also in place with the country specific regulation need to be complied. That is also third part actually which has to be taken care. And the fourth, automation is not a buzzword now. Okay, we have been hearing automation for almost a decade, but now it's a real time. It's happening, and we said actually more of manpower resources are actually are getting kind of offload, and they're actually putting kind of frequent work or maybe the manual intensive works are getting into the automated, so that manpower resource can focus more on actually more intelligent work. Okay, and at the same time actually because we have got actually AI driven tools which can assist all those network operations. So this automation journey actually is kind of a going like neck to neck, and we see that most of the operations are required to be automated in the networks. And the fifth and the last, which would edge computing, right? So edge computing is also actually triggering the demand, so that most of the workloads which is required very low latency and very sensitive in terms of the latency and other quality of service part should be closer to the user. Okay, so it means actually we need to do the decentralization of the workloads which are centralized today, and that requirement also pushing enterprises to build new and small data centers close to the user. So all those network challenges are are has to be addressed, and the next way to do it actually build build a network or modernize a network or actually move to the next generation of solutions. Okay, so what would be the right time? So I would say that actually time is now. So why do we require to do it? So because AI and automation are driving the network operation. Okay, and at the same time, we see that legacy networks are not able to meet the requirement in terms of the bandwidth, in terms of quality of service. Okay, so those networks actually which have been there more than a decade are has to be addressed and actually has to modernize to the next level. And because the innovations are happening so fast, like every 2 years we see new technology, addressing the market. So we have to actually make sure whatever the networks we adapt are kind of able to scale, sustain, and actually also able to build the larger capacity and address the new applications. And then third part, which is fair enough, very important, cost optimization. Whenever these networks are being built, actually they has to be sustained for the long term. Should not be a case every couple of years network has to be upgraded. So, but at the same time, actually, whatever the networking years or the policy comes into place to put in the capex, those should be actually aligned with the cost optimization. And the product and the solution also has to be environmental sustainable. That's why actually in Edgecore we make sure whatever the products we build actually able to consume less power, and it should be actually more energy efficient. Okay, and a fourth part, the open networking. The open networking is maturing, okay, because this is the space we have been talking almost a decade. Now, most of the data centers have already adopted this networking, okay. So now actually we have got the solutions, okay, which can go to the market, and it is kind of a cost optimized, mature, and can support AI and automation. And at the same time, actually, this the complete solution is supported by the security observability part, okay, which is coming from the controller and orchestration, which plays an important role in the network operation. So now talking about this is the right time actually. Most of the time we in the past we have been talking that the whatever networks are being built, those has to be future ready, but I would say it should be ready today, because today we see that growth, innovations, and all those backhauling capacity upgrade has been happening. So what we offer do more with less. Okay, so it means actually the solution which we are proposing here, that would enable you to do more in terms of the software, in terms of the bandwidth, in terms of the capacity, in some meeting all the application requirement to run the different workload with the less. And then that has to be assisted by the end-to-end security. And then actually we have got controller in place, so that the manual intervention to these particular operations would be very minimal. So we can automate end-to-end operations here. Okay, and the networks which are being built actually based on this vision, it's going to be scale, moving from like campus to the data center. And it's also going to simplify the migration. I mean, actually, so the migration is one of the important and critical part, so that whenever a migration happens in the enterprise, so it should be having very less downtime, in order to, so that revenue impact or revenue hit during the migration should be minimal. It should be very simplified, and also offer kind of end-to-end security, end-to-end monitoring of the network, and we can leverage the AI to do predictive operations. All those important parameters which would actually part of our solution. So how we are going to do it? Because here, like the first and important part actually, it would be there would be hardware which would come from the Edgecore. And Edgecore is one of the leader, okay, following like multiple decades, and we have been enabling and powering big data centers and small to large, all the networks and data centers we have been enabling with the cloud architecture. We have got portfolio which can do like 1 gig to 800 gig and beyond. And the networks which are being built with the edge core solutions, it's more scalable and also like cost optimized and flexible. Okay. And the second actually the important part which be coming from the Broadcom. So I think almost all the networking gears today available on the planet, which is empowered by the Broadcom, one of the leader, and they actually built those chipset, high performing chipset, which is optimized for the Sonic, the NOS operating system, which would be running on those edge core devices, can deliver low latency, high throughput, and scalable, and actually perfectly fit for the cloud and edge performance. And then it would be on top of it, we would require the net controller and orchestration platform, okay, that would enable intent based networking, real time visibility, and also support scalable architecture, and then automate the most of the network operation tasks, okay, and without having vendor locking. So these all three combination would empower the transition. Now I would quickly touch base about what all Edge Core portfolio has. So we have actually all the networking gears which is important for building enterprise network, starting from the 1 gig switch, which is classified into PoE and non-PoE. So it can deliver like 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 10 gigs, and having uplinks of 25 gigs or the 100 gigs based on Broadcom Titan 3, which is one of the leader in terms of delivering the performance in the switching. Okay, so Edgecore has got EPS 200 series, which would able to deliver a management, out-of-band management, and enterprise layer 2 L3 switching. Then move towards the next part. It would be coming to the connecting the different server NIC card in the data centers, which is part of edge computing or the centralized computing. So then we have got portfolio which can do like 10 gigs, 25 gig, 100 gigs, okay, based on DCS 200 series. Okay, and then further, if we move towards the leaf switch, which can support 400 gig of capacity to make sure it can connect to the storage NICs, which is 100 gig further to 100 gig, then it can be delivered with DCS 240, which is based on Titan 4. And then on top of it, actually to connect different, leaf, we would require spine and super spine, depends what is the, capacity and the scale of enterprise. So it would be delivered by actually HCore DCS 500 series, which varies from 64 port 100 gigs, then actually 32 port 400 gig, then we have what 32 port 800 gigs and 64 port 800 gig. So those actually the important portfolio can able to actually build the networks of any kind of scale. So now with this, I would actually hand over the Broadcom Sonic part to my colleague Chintan. Chintan, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Gaurav, for that. So, as Gaurav said, Edgecore is very good at building great hardware, but you also need an operating system on top of it to power that hardware. Now, the operating system that we have is something really special. It's called Sonic. Uh, it is an abbreviation of software for open networking in the cloud. Now, let me give you a brief history of what Sonic is, right, and how it has evolved over the last decade. So, this is an operating system which was originated by Microsoft when they thought of starting Azure networking. At that point in time, back in around 2015 odd, all the operating system which were present at that stage were all monolithic operating system. And they realized that it's very difficult to build something at scale using these monolithic operating systems. So they wanted something which is very modular, which can scale and is also open. So they came up with Sonic and open sourced it in 2016. Uh, it was back then. Today, it has evolved and matured a lot. All the hyperscalers today, or I would say most of the hyperscalers today, use only one operating system. That's Sonic. Be it Google, Alibaba, LinkedIn, you name it, right? All of these very large players are all using this single operating system. Now, what is Broadcom doing with Sonic? So Broadcom has been powering Sonic for all of these large hyperscalers. But we also realized that such an amazing operating system should be bought to the enterprises. And we realized that enterprise need some kind of hand holding when it comes to such open source operating systems. And that is where we came up with an enterprise version of Sonic. Now, what is this enterprise version of Sonic? This is akin to what Red Hat has been doing with Linux. So you have an open source Linux, and then you have a fully supported Linux by Red Hat. This is exactly what Broadcom has done, right? What we are doing is we are taking the community Sonic. We understand the features which are required by the enterprises. So we top up the community Sonic, which is actually built for hyperscalers with a lot of enterprise grade features. And we have come up with a very robust operating system for the enterprises. Now, this is deployed at scale, across multiple segments of enterprises, or I would say sectors of enterprise, be it BFSI to manufacturing, you name it, and we have really large customer bases across the planet. Now, when you go for this enterprise edition, what comes to you is, along with a predictable roadmap, also support guaranteed by Broadcom. Now, whenever Edgecore actually brings up a hardware, they send it to Broadcom. They certify that hardware for Broadcom Sonic. So the solution that you are buying from Edgecore is actually fully certified and supported by Broadcom. Now, coming to, what are the use cases that we support? Now, we understand that a typical data center would have use cases where you are either doing a pure underlay function because the overlay is being done at the hypervisor layer. For example, if you are using VMware, you would probably be doing the overlay from NSX, and you need your data center fabric to just act as an underlay, right? That is a use case which is easily supported by Sonic. Apart from that, we also understand that for most of the cases where you're not using the overlay from the hypervisor, what you are doing is you want the overlay to start, which is nothing but VXLAN from your switches and terminate on the switches. Now that is again a very common use case, which is fully supported by Sonic. And third, a slightly complex, or I would say a larger scale network would require you to extend your VXLAN not only within the data center, but also across the data center. That is where you need a multi-site VXLAN. That is something which is easily supported as well. So, these are some of the use cases which I thought were like very commonly used, and that is why I have put it here. But apart from that, be rest assured that most of your regular use cases, or I would say all of your regular use cases, are fully supported by Broadcom Sonic. Now, coming to the data center, as I said, all of these use cases are supported, but not only for data center, for all your campus and edge use cases are also easily supported by Sonic. Now, what we understand is you would require features like .1x, right? That's something which is easily supported by Sonic. Also, what you need is PoE-enabled switches, which are offered by Edgecore. What you would need is multi-rate. 1 gig PoE is no longer enough now that you are transitioning from Wi-Fi 5 to Wi-Fi 6, and Wi-Fi 7 is also around the corner. So you would need multi-rate interfaces on your switches, which are PoE enabled. That's something that is supported as well. So in a nutshell, what I would like to say is all your DC use cases, all your edge or campus use cases, and also all your AI use cases are supported by Sonic. Now, isn't it amazing? A single NOS supporting all of these three use cases, right? This actually goes with do more with less, right? It's the same team which can actually support all of these standard use cases that an enterprise needs today. And you know what? the beauty is it's just a single package that you need. So if you see, we have like, be it your enterprise or be it campus or be your cloud package, we just have two flavors. That's the base flavor and the advanced flavor. The advanced flavor actually comes with additional telemetry features. But if you look at the base version itself, it comes with all the features that you need for your for all your use cases. So it's not like a typical traditional model where, okay, you can do only this with your base version. If you want to do, let's say, X, or if you want to do VXLAN, you have to buy one more license. If you want to do multi-site VXLAN, you have to buy one more license. That's not the way we operate. You just buy the base package, get started, and it will pretty much serve the purpose for anything that you need now and also in the future. Now, what I would do is I just kind of covered enterprise Sonic and what are its features. But as you know, that no matter how good an operating system is, it's incomplete without an orchestrator on top of it. And that is where I'll hand it over to Amir, who will take you through an amazing orchestrator, Verity, which they have built. Thank you, and over to you, Amir.
Thank you so much, Chintan and Gaurav. So both of you, both Chintan and Gaurav, covered very important building blocks, right? You have the hardware, and then you have the operating system on top of it. But for all of us, we want a system that will provide a service, provide a good service and reliable service. So here comes BE as the part that kind of make it all, play a beautiful symphony together using those building blocks. BE covers life cycle. So we affect how networks are operated, how are they maintained, and for certain applications, how are they optimized. So our networks are becoming very demanding, as Gaurav covered in his opening slide. You need to do more with your network. It becomes a critical component of your daily operations for your company. It doesn't matter what your company does, network becomes a critical operation. So we want to help you in that, and optimize all the things you need to do from that network. BE covers all the use cases that Chintan covered in the use cases of Sonic, both in DC or in the campus. We automate every aspect. If you go greenfield deployments, we take the network from ZTP all the way to what we call ZTR, zero touch replacement, both in the campus and that. We will set up, if it's a DC or private cloud, we'll create all the underlay, overlay, fully automated with a very minimal input from you. But the key word, in my opinion, that Gaurav said is migration in your networks, whether it be at the private cloud or the campus. And I'll double click a little bit deeper on that in the following slides. But migration requires you to continue operation with minimal disruption while you change something completely different. So, and it's almost akin to changing an engine on an airplane while maintaining flight and not on the ground in a hangar. And this is a very challenging task. But rest assured that this team here that we're presenting to you, we have done it hundreds of times. Actually, there are some of you on the call right now that we did it with. And we are big supporters of Sonic. We think Sonic is revolutionizing the industry because it brings the brightest minds into a community that everybody is contributing. So in the cloud, we are doing offline migrating the overlay to Sonic. We do that for you. In the campus, what we offer is co-managed. So if you have any of these providers, we are able to co-manage those in the campus and migrate them to Sonic using Edgecore hardware. So a little bit about the deployment and how we do it. Typically in the campus, we do the orchestration resides in some kind of a public cloud. In this case, you see AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. And you are able to manage to create uniformity across your sites. So in this case, you see multiple sites and they're all using different hardware. In this case, let's say if you're multinational and had a lot of acquisitions and over the years, there's a total mess that nobody wants to touch. Well, you have to untangle it slowly but surely and having the right tools. And again, we are moving from proprietary to Sonic. Sonic gives you the choice to choose the best solution for you. Best is relative, right? What's best for one is not necessarily the best for the other, but choices are really good for all of us. So I want to double click a little bit about the how we migrate a campus, and whether it's going to be one big site or multiple sites across the world. In future webinars, we're planning to do to bring one of the customers that did this journey, one large company who did this journey for almost migrating 200 sites into open networking. And we developed a very robust method and system how to do that. It's a I like to say simple, but it's not simple, but it looks simple. But it's a very sophisticated in a way that it minimizes disruption. And the 5 steps are: 1, you have to download the virtual machines. Now you can do it, as I said, in a public cloud, or if you have a private cloud, it's also possible. Then you are extracting all the configuration from the running switches, and we build a digital twin of your network. Again, it could be one site or multiple sites, and then we see together with you. So this is something that you work with Edgecore together with us, but we will be able to give you this service. So as we map those, we then go to create kind of like templates, understanding to create uniformity. It's not that we are forcing you to work with our template. No, we create a template for what is based on what you have. So one template from one customer is not similar to the same. And what this uniformity does, it helps you to address the challenges, the growing challenges for the network, but also address what's the technical debt that you have from prior years. So that technical that debt is only growing, and if you don't take care of it early, it will come to haunt you. So, and remember, all of this is done in a digital twin. The last part of phase number 4 is what we call digital hygiene. You then now address problems and clean that technical debt to kind of have a network, a starting point, where you do the migration and move to step number 5. It's ready. The network will be what you want it to be and not what you got from your predecessor. So those are 5 steps. It can take from days to 2-3 weeks, but it's something that is, as I said, we perfected over hundreds of deployments. So, this kind of like a summary of the talk of Gaurav, Chetan, and myself. I think you have no choice but to get better. The network needs and the dependability of your business on the network gives you no choice but to get better. You have lots of challenges. We talked about upgrading the different technologies, right? Everything mobile first. First, everybody's coming back to the office, congestions, new applications. Everything requires robust network. Failure is not an option. You need everything to be built in a redundant way. Everything has to be automated. Now, Gartner came up with a report a week ago that talks about that 51% of the organizations in North America reported an outage of 1 hour of costing them more than $1 million. 13% reported more than $10 million per hour. So you don't want that spotlight on you. You want that network to be perfect. You want to get the best of breed. Around the table here, you have 3 companies that each one and own this are leading on the world map, right? The biggest one, of course, is obviously Broadcom, which gives you the merchant silicon plus the operating system. You have Edgecore with its parent company Acton delivering, some of the best hardware, from open networking. And you have us that we have done it close to 600 times. Our network is our orchestration deployed 600 networks. So you have the best of breed. Now, the best of breed is a function of time. Today we are the best, but we work very hard to keep that way. So it's not like you work with some company and they're the best, but then they slag, and they're not best anymore. Because you have the choices, we have to run as fast as possible to keep up with technology and give it a solution. It's a very collaborative effort. At the end, if you want this process, you're going to work with Edgecore. They'll be the front, but we will be supported by both Broadcom and ourselves. This is a collaboration. You need a village to have a very good network. You need a lot of people, a lot of stakeholders coming together. Yes, you're still going to have a single point of interface. So you're not gonna, you're not gonna have to work with multiple, organizations. But at the end, you have the best organizations collaborating to provide you a solution. A solution that is agile as much as your network needs, is scalable as much as your network needs. It's secure because you don't have a choice. Your network has to be secure and address all challenges and know if there are threats. So using, I talked about mainly about our orchestration, but our AIOps and observability platform allows you to detect anomalies, part of them related to security. So you need all of that. And the last point I want to talk about is obviously automation. Automation helps us all address major challenges. It does a lot of the menial tasks behind, right? 20 years ago, it was all about CLI, and I was the master of CLI, I know that. But the problem with CLI, it's all mostly in my head. And, if I call the hit by bus test, if that person is gone, or I'm gone, hit by a bus, how do we keep the network or the resiliency of the network without this actor? So having automation helps you reduce downtime. According to that Gartner research, close to 70% of outages occur due to network operator error. So if you take automation, you're going to reduce that 70% downtime. With that, I would give to Lucille.
Hi, thanks for the introduction by Gaurav, Amil, and also Chitan. So like what Amil mentioned, that you don't need to deal with so many just 3 different companies. Start your journey now and contact with our sales. So as you can see from the screen, sales at edge-code.com is where you can find a turnkey solution. We will have our sales to contact with you, for this integrated solution. So now let's look at the next one. Is our Q&A session. I invite all of our presenter to turn on your camera. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So thanks for the great introduction. So let me look at our Q&A session. I think the first question is about from Archie is talking about what does network modernization means to you in the context of the data center and campus environment. So I think the question is for Gaurav, or who will answer this question?
Yeah, here, Nusal, I can take this question. Thank you. So when we talk about like modernization, yes, actually there would be different parameters to do modernization for the campus and data centers. So data centers modernization, definitely they have to scale up to 100 gigs or the 400 gigs, and then actually the network has to be integrated with the hybrid cloud approach. Okay, how do we want to put the workloads, like it can be on-prem or it would be actually getting into the cloud. That's the one part. And then what would be the security mode, and how we are going to migrate towards the software defined networking. So these all are elements part for the data centers. Then we move towards the campus specific, definitely. So there would be an upgrade of the wireless network, okay, from maybe Wi-Fi 5 to Wi-Fi 6 or 7, and then connecting all this network towards edge computing, because edge computing is a new building block, right? So enterprises are setting up these small data centers. So this data centers has to be connected to the campus network, okay, and at the same time, this has to be, also has to be assisted by the AI analytics and operations. So that actually users can get better experience. So these are the building blocks for the modernization for both cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Gaurav. So the next question is, how do you see the enterprise network architecture evolving over the next 5 years?
So let me take this. What we have seen so far is, as Amir rightly pointed, networks today are so complex, and every organization or every CIO wants to do a lot more. At the same time, he has a lot of cost pressure. So not only does he need to reduce on his CapEx, but also on his OpEx, right? And how can you do it? So today, as Amir pointed out in his slides, that you have n number of vendors doing all kind of different things in your network. You would have like couple of vendors for your campus network. You have couple of others for your data centers. And now there is this new breed, which is your AI networking as well. So you have like different networks in your organization, different operating systems for all of these different use cases, and different orchestration layers as well for all of these different use cases. What you need is something which is unified, right? And it's only then you can do a lot more with less people. What you can do is have a common NOS and a common, let's say, hardware ecosystem and a common orchestrator for all your use cases, be it your campus, be it your CPU data centers, be it your GPU data centers. And now you can leverage even Ethernet for your HPC. So the point is, it's like one system or one common NOS, one common orchestration system, which will help you do pretty much serve all your use cases. And it's only then you can do a lot more with less people. And at the same time, you need something which is robust. And as Ami rightly pointed out, it's the best of breed, right? You have Edgecore building the best of hardware. You have Broadcom, who can build uh, resilient chips, the best of software, and you have Beyond Edge Orchestrator on top of it. As Amir said, more than 600 enterprises already using them. So you have a solution which is really robust and can meet all your use cases, right? And that's the key for you to do a lot more with less.
Okay, thank you, Chetan. The next question is, how can the network modernization directly impact the business outcome like agility, security, or cost efficiency? So Amir will take this question.
Yeah, thank you, Lucille. And thank you for the question, watching. So there are multiple use cases, and I gave you like 2 examples. For example, we're doing with ORAN provider and packet core that they need to spin new based on demand of the network. They need to spin new applications. So the network needs to be super agile, because if they need to add more capacity somewhere, they're just adding it. We have an IPTV provider in a data center doing the same, based on the channel where they're spinning more apps on it. So the network has to follow where the business is and enable the business. You have to, Chinta talk about like, you have to do more with less. So the open networking kind of like create a competitive environment where people are fighting for your business and you're not locked. So they have options. So we add competitive. So we see customers at OTP Global in October, mid-October. I'll be on stage with a very large corporation that will talk about their use case. They saved more than 50%. So, cost efficiency because of competition. They were working with incumbent for 10 years, and over the years, people get spoiled, so open networking, agility, spinning new things. There's a new concept that we bring, of DevOps that were not before. So kind of NetOps kind of catching up with the DevOps. And then I would like to answer also Krishna's, question. And again, thank you, Krishna, for that. The bigger the migration is, there's more technical debt. So especially if it's a spread around the globe, and that. So the challenging aspect is just I wouldn't say linear, but it's almost linear in terms of migration of the networks. So you need to have a very robust system, a very robust plan and execution. And there's a tie-in with the customers. We work closely with them. You develop this partnership, and like I said, in a follow-up webinar, we're going to do with a customer. We'll talk about their journey.
Thank you, Amir. I think the last question just coming out is about the Edgecore differentiation to other competitor vendors about the data center equipment. So I think that's for Gaurav.
Yeah, thank you, Lucille, for putting this question up. So, okay, first of all, actually, I think we need to understand that Edgecore comes with a parent company called Acton, and who is one of the leading in terms of the ODM, and they have got experience of like 37 years. So we have been there in the marketplace to develop and build all those designs ourselves and actually come up with a product with the latest innovation with the Broadcom chips. Okay, so this journey has been more than 3 decades, and one of the major reason to adapt Edgecore that we are present with most of the big hyperscalers, and we are serving actually not only the hyperscalers. Then we talk about like big enterprises, small enterprises, and then we are also into the service provider. So most of the so networks today, probably we work with Broadcom closely and enabled all those network together. And at the same time, actually, all those hardware is backed up by the strong tech support team, which is spread it across the globe. So that's why this is actually one of the important value for adapting the Edgecore.
Okay, thank you. So I think that's all the question for today. Again, I'd like to thank for all of you participants for today's webinar, and thanks for the presentation from Gaurav, Chetan, and Amir. And we're all looking forward to our next webinar mentioned by Amir. That's a 200 slides official use case. So we'll see you in our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining.